AI in medicine is not a robot doctor. It's not a machine replacing surgeons. And it's definitely not chat GPT diagnosing cancer. Here's what actually it is: a software that processes clinical data that includes patient scans, lab reports, vitals, and more to help doctors make better decisions faster and more consistently. That's what AI in medicine is today. Now, here's what makes this genuinely interesting. These systems are already running inside real hospitals, real ICUs, real operating rooms. Most patients receive care today have no idea that an AI system played a role in their diagnosis. So let's get into exactly what's happening, how it works, and what it means for you as a life science student. Now, imagine it's midnight in an emergency department. Patient walks in with a chest pain. Immediately, a CT scan is done. A detailed cross sectional X ray showing inside of the chest in slices. Now, that scan sits in a queue and radiologist. The doctor who specializes in reading medical images reviews it when they get it. While the new process that integrates AI, the moment that scan is complete, an AI system tears through it in seconds, not thinking, not reasoning, finding visual patterns. It was specifically trained to find. It flags possible blood clot in the lung, possible bleeding inside the skull, suspicious growth which is detected, could be any of these or something else entirely. The radiologists get that alert immediately, reviews the scan, and make the final call. What you see here is AI flagging and human deciding. What's powering this technology? It's called deep learning, which is a subset of AI, specifically convolutional neural networks. But how does these AI systems work? Think of it this way. You teach a child to recognize a cat by showing them thousands of pictures. These AI systems with neural networks learn the same way, except they are shown millions of labeled medical images, showing this is a tumor, that is a healthy tissue, this is a bleed, etc. and etc. And they get extremely precise at spotting those specific patterns. Why did imaging become the first real area where AI made it into hospitals? Because images are clean, structured data. They are basically pixels, contrast, edges. Compare that to a doctor's clinical notes, which are messy and ambiguous. Images are clean end of medicine, and that's where AI got its foothold. Right now, there are hundreds of FDA cleared AI imaging tools in clinical use globally. Not something sci fi, but already deployed in hospitals around the world. Which is what next is about to happen to this patient. In an ICU right now, there are patients who look stable. Vitals are borderline, lab slightly off, nothing obviously alarming, but underneath, something is shifting. And historically, by the time that becomes clinically obvious, you are already behind. That's exactly what predictive AI is trying to solve. Machine learning models trained on millions of past patient records learn the subtle patterns that appeared hours before a patient went into sepsis, a life threatening response to infection, or before a cardiac arrest, or serious deterioration. These models run continuously, scanning vitals, lab values, and medication changes in real time, generating a life risk score right inside the hospital's electronic health record. The digital system where all patient information lives. The alert appears directly in the doctor's workflow. No separate app needed. Here's what most videos won't tell you: some of these systems failed publicly. Epic, one of the world's largest hospital software companies, deployed a sepsis prediction model across hundreds of hospitals. Studies have shown it missed cases and generated too many false alarms. Doctors started dismissing the alerts. And when doctors stop trusting the alerts, the tool becomes completely useless. And it shows the real challenge isn't just building a model, it's getting it to work reliably across different hospitals with different patient population. So today, deployment is very careful. Local validation, continuous monitoring, human override always active. Showing a mess in a lung tells you something is there, but it doesn't tell you what it is biologically. For that, you need tissue. A biopsy is performed. A small sample is removed, sliced into thin sections, placed on a glass slide, sustained with dyes to make cellular structures visible, and examined under a microscope. That process is pathology, the branch of medicine that studies disease at a cellular level. And it's where diagnosis gets confirmed. Cancer type, how aggressive it is, which biological markers the cells are expressing. Those slides are now being digitalized into ultra high resolution images containing millions of cells. Deep learning models analyze them to detect cancer cells, count meiotic figures, key indicator of how fast a tumor is growing, and quantify biomarkers like HER2 or PDL1 that tell oncologists which targeted therapies are likely to work for that specific patient. Why is oncology driving most of this effort? Because cancer treatment decisions depend on extremely precise biological distinctions. One genetic mutation can completely change which drug you use, and the wrong call means the patient doesn't respond to treatment. AI reduces the variability in how that data gets interpreted. And more consistently, interpretation directly leads to better treatment decisions. Not the most talked about area in clinical AI, but arguably the most impactful. Here's a layer that doesn't look exciting, but it's quietly running everywhere inside hospitals. And it's probably the most directly relevant to your pharmacology coursework. The doctor is about to prescribe an antibiotic. In the background, a system instantly checks, is the patient allergic? Is the kidney function compromised? Because some drugs cannot be safely processed by damaged kidneys. Does this interact with other active medication? Is this the guideline recommended first choice for this infection? All of that in milliseconds, right inside the same screen the doctor is working on. That is clinical decision support, an intelligent alert system embedded in hospital software. Increasingly, machine learning layers are being added to predict adverse drug reactions, recommended dosing adjustments, and surface evidence aligned treatment options. Medication errors are one of the leading cause of preventable harm in hospitals globally, and this layer quietly reduce them at scale. One real challenge, though, is alert fatigue. When a system flags too many things, doctors start dismissing alerts automatically. Modern systems are being designed to rank by severity and reduce noise that gets ignored has zero clinical value. Here's something every life science student needs to understand. Any AI system influencing a clinical decision is classified as medical device, specifically software as a medical device or SAMD, and has to go through regulatory approval. FDA in the US, CE marking in Europe, CDSCO in India. Before clearance, companies must prove the tool actually works. They need to demonstrate sensitivity, how well it catches true cases, and specificity, how well it avoids false alarms with data from real clinical settings. Intended use is defined very precisely. A tool doesn't get cleared for diagnosis diseases broadly. It gets cleared for something like detection of intracranial hemorrhage in non contrast CT scans in adult patients. Hospitals run local pilots. because a model trained on US academics data center can underperform in the hospital with a different patient demographic or a different equipment. That's called model drift, where real world performance drifts from training performance. Some tools have been withdrawn because of it. That's not failure. That's medicine working exactly as it should. And it makes the most sense to discuss last because now you have the full context of what AI can and cannot do. Robotic surgery is real and deployed. The Vinci surgical system is used in hospitals for prostate surgery, gynecological procedures, colorectal surgery, and select cardiac procedures. A surgeon sits at a console, controls robotic arms, and views a magnified 3D surgical field. The system translates hand movements into precision micro movements at the instrument tip, filtering tremors and scaling motion. So, moving your hand 2 centimeters moves the instrument 2 millimeters. AI assists with motion stabilization, enhanced visualization, real time imaging overlay, and post operative analysis of surgical footage. The robot does not decide where to cut, does not initiate a movement independently, and if the surgeon hand stop, the instrument stops completely. Fully autonomous surgical AI is research staged and nowhere near mainstream clinical use. This is precision assistance, expensive and concentrated in large hospitals, but real and expanding for sure. Now, here's the full picture. AI is running across the entire clinical pathway right now. Imaging to detect, prediction to anticipate, pathology to confirm, decision support to guide, regulation to validate, and robotics to assist in execution. And across every single layer, the scope is narrow, control is tight, and human oversight is intact. For you as a life science student, this changes what skills actually matter. The field isn't just looking for coders. It needs people who understand the biology and can work at the intersection of clinical knowledge and technology, who understand what a biomarker means, why a false positive in cancer screening has completely different consequences than elsewhere, how clinical trials work, and what regulatory approval actually demands. The people who can operate on both sides, biology and data, are the ones who will shape how AI gets built and deployed in medicine going forward. For sure. AI in medicine is not coming, it's already here. Imperfect, uneven, and heavily scrutinized, but real, expanding and already changing how patients get diagnosed and treated. That's the actual story. We have used few sources for this: FDA, AIML, SAMD guidance and action plan, PIC sepsis model critique, Stat News, Wiz AI FDA cleared stroke detection, Path AI, Pathology AI, Howard Gazette, How AI is Transforming Medicine, March 2025, IBM Think, Artificial Intelligence in Medicine. Thank you.
Visit us today, www.clinilaunchresearch.in.